So we take the opportunity to welcome our listeners and participants who are now joining us through the live stream. Okay. Perhaps it makes sense to use this time instead of waiting. Perhaps we can begin with some of our introductory.
Professor Karam and all attendees, my apologies. We just had a technical issue, but we have it managed now, and Sarah is about to share the video. Apologies for the delay.
Okay, thank you.
I am very sorry, but Zoom does not allow me to share my screen at the moment. We're trying to figure it out. Maybe we can.
Okay, so in the meantime, perhaps we can, with the agreement of our distinguished co-hosts of this, perhaps we can begin, request His Excellency, Mr. Adamadieng, to perhaps begin us. And then we will be able to have an opportunity to show the video when it is ready. Your Excellency, Mr. Dieng, I trust that this will be acceptable to you. I apologize for the technical issues we are confronting. Perhaps a moment to share that the context here is one where a unique... I hope you can all hear me. So before I ask Mr. Adamadieng to please take the floor, I just want to frame the conversation of today, that acts of hatred and violence justified under religious pretext have emerged with the alarming frequency and intensity and proved to be major threats to peaceful coexistence. The crimes committed by ISIL in Iraq in particular provide one of the most destructive and harrowing examples of how the corruption and false representation of religious principles can serve the purpose of those promoting criminality and pain. Despite these examples, we are all witnesses of how the diversity of religions and beliefs have significantly contributed and enhanced the struggle for human rights and peaceful coexistence. While religions may have different names, they generally promote the same values of love, compassion, mercy, while opposing violence and conflict. Religious leaders in particular can play a significant role in sustaining peace and in urging for peace by influencing the behavior of all, including those who do not even share their beliefs, but share the spirit. Unfortunately, however, religion is sometimes misused to justify incitement to violence and discrimination. It is therefore vital that religious leaders from all faiths show their unique leadership. Durable peace calls for sustained efforts to create conditions that preserve inclusive societies and protecting the human rights of each individual without any discrimination. In the face of immeasurable suffering of all communities as a result of ISIL crimes, the religious leaders of Iraq have demonstrated unparalleled leadership and courage by coming together to highlight the common foundations of justice and tolerance and mercy underpinning their faiths, and condemning the violence of ISIL with one voice as, and I quote, contrary to the core principles of our religious faiths, as well as the fundamental values of humanity. Distinguished eminences, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us today a community of very brave leaders who have gone against a current of pain to insist not only on coming together in peace and healing, but are looking to the accountability of those who perpetrate acts, those who are silent, and those who wish to heal. We are co-hosting this interactive webinar to focus on the role of religious authorities and religious leaders in promoting accountability of perpetrators and supporting survivors of crimes against humanity. This webinar will celebrate and explore a historic interfaith statement facilitated by two amazing leaders from the United Nations system, Mr. Dieng and Mr. Khan, and signed on by the religious leaders in Iraq, which can serve as a source of inspiration for global efforts in regards to combating violent extremism and the false interpretation of religious principles to incite hatred and violence. This webinar is also to applaud the bravery and the courage of the Iraqi religious leaders in adopting this historic interfaith statement, while also addressing critical issues of accountability, healing, interreligious collaboration going forward, and accountability again as a basis for reconciliation. Please allow me now to call upon one of the United Nations leading leaders, His Excellency, Mr. Adama Dieng, the United Nations Secretary General, Special Advisor on the Prevention of Genocide, and the Undersecretary General of the Office for the Prevention of Genocide and the Responsibility to Protect. Mr. Dieng, the floor is yours.
Dr. Karam, just to inform you, we are now also ready to share the video in case you would like to do this first.
Mr. Dieng, are you comfortable with showing the video first?
Absolutely.
Very good, thank you. Sarah, please go ahead.
From 2014 to 2017, Daesh occupied large swathes of Iraq and committed grave abuses of international human rights law, international humanitarian law, and criminal law, acts that may constitute genocide, crimes against humanity, or war crimes. Daesh conducted a sustained and brutal campaign of violence, including mass killings, abductions, rape, enslavement, torture, and destruction of cultural property. ISIL targeted every community in Iraq, whether Christian or Yazidi, Shia or Sunni, Kakai or Shabak. No one was spared.
In my role as Special Advisor on the Prevention of Genocide, in 2014, I called upon the international community, national authorities, and all relevant actors to work together in order to address this dangerous combination of conditions. What we saw unfold was a tragedy for humanity.
Heeding the call from survivors, the international community acted decisively in 2017 by establishing an independent, impartial investigative team to make sure thorough investigations were conducted regarding the acts of Daesh that may constitute genocide, crimes against humanity, or war crimes.
On my visit to Iraq in 2015, I had called for efforts to be made by the international community and the government of Iraq as partners to ensure that accountability could be delivered for all communities, not only because they had the right to obtain justice, but also because justice is instrumental in the prevention of future crimes. The establishment of UNITAD represented a crucial step towards this goal.
Our role is to ensure that justice can be delivered for all communities in Iraq through investigations conducted in line with international standards. It is by exposing the crimes of ISIL in the courtroom, by collecting evidence, whether testimonial, forensic, digital, or documentary, that we will create an incontrovertible record that will stand the test of time. We will ensure justice and accountability that can broker no argument. And in the process, we will expose the fallacy that the acts of Daesh had anything to do with Islam. They do not. It is of course obvious that different communities have suffered very deep wounds. some of the trauma continues today, and a safe space has to be created for witnesses, whether boys or girls or men or women, that they can come forward and give their accounts. The leadership, the support and the solidarity that you as religious leaders can give cannot be underestimated. It is vital. And this partnership of trust between investigators and religious leaders within the international community and the community affected is essential if we are together going to march forward towards justice.
During my visit to Iraq in March 2020, we engaged with religious leaders across the country to discuss the role they can play in promoting justice and understanding across communities. I was struck by the common message we heard from Christian, Sunni, Shia, and Yazidi religious leaders, that justice was necessary as a basis for peace and common understanding across communities. This is the message we also received from survivors and impacted communities in all parts of Iraq. Justice must be delivered as a foundation for hope.
I'm absolutely delighted that with the support of you, the religious leaders of Iraq, in a spirit of dialogue and mutual respect, an historic statement was signed, the statement on the victims and survivors of ISIL crimes.
This statement represents a strong collective call by all major religious faiths in Iraq, repudiating ISIL ideology and emphasizing the need for concerted action to ensure survivors receive the support they need.
Through this statement, the religious leaders of Iraq have underlined their commitment to work and support UNITAD to ensure accountability. In particular, and I think really of critical importance, was that you have underlined the need to support victims of sexual and gender-based crimes and crimes against or affecting children. It is absolutely essential that all of Iraq and all of humanity realize that where crimes like this have been committed, there should be no stigma that attaches to the survivor. Instead, the stigma should reside on the perpetrator, who is proved as being such after a fair and impartial trial.
This historic moment must be the beginning of a concerted effort to advance reconciliation in the country, not an end in itself. I believe that the statement provides a unique platform for action by religious leaders to support accountability efforts and promote understanding across communities.
This statement underlines the solidarity of humanity represented by the world's religions, and the Iraqi leaders that have signed the Interfaith statement have added their own powerful and collective voice to the increasing chorus that we have heard around the world of religious leaders who have demonstrated that peace is an essential requirement in these troubled times. Proper accountability, solidarity across races, religions, and communities is essential to remove the cloak of hatred from Daesh and to demonstrate that their acts are repugnant to the precepts of Islam, of all the world's major religions, and that are completely alien to the very essence of our own humanity. It is therefore that I completely applaud the work of the Yazidi community, the Christian, the Kakai, Shia, and the Sunni community for signing this interfaith statement. And I encourage all other religious leaders in Iraq to sign this document. It remains open for signature. Your leadership, your voice, and your vision is important as we march together, hopefully, to more peaceful and better days.
Thank you very much indeed to UNITAD, the United Nations Investigative Team to Promote Accountability for Crimes Committed by Daesh or ISIL, for this video that helpfully sets the stage. Just a short reminder again, there is translation available into Arabic and Kumanji. If you wish to get the translation in Arabic, please press German. If you wish to get it in Kumanji, please press Korean. Otherwise,
ليس هناك أي ترجمة عربي مع الأسف ست عزة.
ما فيش ترجمة عربي؟
أبدا، فقط كلمة أستاذ كريم خان، أما غيرها لم أجد ترجمة عربي.
We seem to be encountering difficulties with the Arabic translation. حضرتك دوست على كلمة German. Okay, can we please call upon His Excellency Mr. Adama Dieng now to address us? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Azza. Your Eminence, brothers and sisters, allow me first and foremost how happy I am joining hands with my dear colleague and friend Karim Khan, my sister Azza Karam, co-hosting this important webinar. But I should say I'm mostly honored to be accompanied today by religious representatives who tirelessly work days after day, making a difference in the lives of all Iraqis. Their leading efforts for justice, peace, and reconciliation constitute an example for all society to follow. The historic interfaith statement that will be presented today is a clear demonstration of such leadership and commitment. Taking joint initiatives, especially as strong, I would say, as the one that will be presented today, is particularly difficult in a situation where the fabric of society has been broken, hatred has prevailed, and atrocity crimes have likely been committed. Dear colleagues, brothers and sisters, there are strong indications that genocide and crimes against humanity were committed by ISIL between 2014 and 2016. We know that women and girls were abducted, that sexual violence was used as a tool for war and intimidation. Religious sites and cultural symbols were destroyed. Back in 2014, I stated publicly that attacks by ISIL constituted grave violations of human rights and international humanitarian law that may amount to war crimes and crimes against humanity. I also alluded to reports of acts committed by ISIL, which may point to the risk of genocide. Other actors in the United Nations system joined the call for justice to address these allegations. And this is because justice constitutes an essential component in the task of building a future in peace, where all communities can live together. I cannot but praise the efforts of my brother, Karim Khan, as head of UNITAD, to facilitate all possible processes, collect and gather evidence that can be used in a court of justice to ensure that all perpetrators are held accountable for their actions. My praise also goes to all those officials in Iraq and in the Kurdistan region who are working tirelessly for the same purpose. But moving forward together requires more than criminal accountability. Bringing peace and building a joint future requires igniting the social fabric of the country from the highest levels in the government buildings in Baghdad or Erbil to the smallest villages at the heart of the country. This is in the hands of each and every one of Iraq's citizens. It has to come from the bottom up, and it requires involvement of each and all communities. In this work, the role of religious leaders and actors is essential. This role has been acknowledged globally through the adoption of the Plan of Action for Religious Leaders and Actors to prevent incitement to violence that could lead to atrocity crimes. This document, which was developed with the help of religious actors from different faiths and beliefs from around the world, includes options to prevent and counter incitement to violence. These options relate to the interlinkages between preventing atrocity crimes violent extremism, and gender-based violence. The document calls on religious leaders and actors to address cultural attitudes and the stigma and the shame associated with it, among other issues. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres urged widest possible dissemination and implementation of this plan of action, which he said, and I quote, can help to save lives, reduce suffering, and realize our shared vision of peaceful, inclusive, and just societies in which diversity is valued and the rights of all individuals are protected. End of quote. The Interfaith Statement on Victims and Survivors of ISIL contributes to implement the plan of action in a solid way. Your Eminencies, brothers and sisters in humanity, many of the challenges for peace in Iraq did not start with the emergence of ISIL, nor have ended once this group has been militarily defeated. Many communities still feel vulnerable and consider that not enough is being done to protect not only their linguistic, religious, or cultural heritage, but their very physical integrity. Addressing long-term grievances is one of the most effective ways of prioritizing prevention of human rights violations, including atrocity crimes. Iraqi society has experienced the tremendous cost of not addressing long-term grievances. It must therefore work to build and strengthen an inclusive society where diversity is not perceived as a flaw, but as an asset. I'm convinced that the Interfaith Statement on Victims and Survivors of ISIL constitute an essential step in this direction, in line with the plan of action for religious leaders and actors to prevent incitement to violence that could lead to atrocity crimes. I'm extremely proud to support it, and I commit my office assistance in ensuring its full implementation. Shukran jazeelan. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Your Excellency. And now it gives me great pleasure to call upon His Excellency Mr. Karim Asad Ahmad Khan. Mr. Khan is the first head of the investigative team. He's a barrister and Queen's Counsel in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, with more than 25 years of professional experience as an international criminal law and human rights lawyer. Mr. Khan has extensive experience in acting as prosecutor, victims counsel, and defense lawyer in domestic and international criminal tribunals, including, but not limited to, the International Criminal Court, the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, and the International Criminal Tribunal for former Yugoslavia, the extraordinary chambers in the courts of Cambodia, the Special Tribunal for Lebanon, and the Special Court for Sierra Leone. Distinguished eminences, ladies and gentlemen, we are extremely delighted now to hear from Mr. Karim Asad Ahmad Khan. Your Excellency.
Eminences, Excellencies, respected religious leaders, ladies and gentlemen, and most importantly, brothers and sisters. I start, if I may, with the greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. It is really an immense pleasure, and I feel humbled to see so many individuals on the line joining us live, and also that are logged in this time of lockdown, that so many have thought it relevant and important to reach out beyond oceans, beyond faith, beyond communities, with each other in relation to our shared humanity. I think this is a wonderful organization, Dr. Karam. Religions for Peace. What can religion be if not for peace? How can any of us who profess to believe in a God be at peace with ourselves, be at peace with God, if we are not able to live at peace with each other. So I think this is a wonderful organization with a very lofty and important role. And I know the work that's been done has a heritage. A lot of work has been done because we have seen in so many parts of the world, whether it is Myanmar, Pakistan, or India, whether it is Iraq or Syria, or whether it's in Europe, in mosques and other places, there is this proclivity to raise a voice of division, to focus on what divides instead of what unites. And from, in terms of the religious leaders and statesmen, from His Eminence, His Holiness Pope Francis to King Abdullah, from Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sistani to the Imam of the Al-Azhar Mosque, from the head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community to all of you, Archbishop of Canterbury, the list goes on. There has been a voice raised that religions, religious leaders cannot be spectators or bystanders as the world is in agony and is in turmoil. So this interfaith statement is really a very important step by the leaders of Iraq. Dr. Karam, when I had the honor of meeting for the first time Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sistani, I was really humbled and moved by the fact that before I said a word, he said, take care of the Christians and the Yazidis. This care for each other, about being each other's keeper, being your brother's keeper, being your sister's keeper, caring for each other because of our shared humanity, is so essential if there is to be peace, if there is to be justice. And of course, Religions for Peace, it raises an important question. There cannot be peace if there is not supreme justice everywhere. In the religious statement, and I hope all viewers will have the time to read it, one of the areas that I was really most pleased about was not the confidence in UNITAD, the need for accountability as an abstract, but it was the recognition in the context of Iraq, given the terrible crimes of sexual or gender-based violence, that no stigma whatsoever should attach upon the individuals that are targeted and that have survived, but it should rest upon those proved guilty, not because of their membership of a community, but because they have conducted criminal acts as part of a criminal organization, namely Daesh, which I maintain is the un-Islamic state. And in terms of children, because children we see in all conflicts, and particularly we see in very sharp focus in Iraq, children are the particularized targets of a whole variety of crimes that become cross-generational issues. And the realization that children are born innocent, that they are blameless, and that individuals and children in particular must be treated with kindness is an important one. One of the important aspects in the interfaith statement is accountability. It isn't just a right of survivors. It's not only a human right that individuals have redress, but it's also realization that the Security Council articulated that in the crucible of a courtroom, not based upon polemics or political arguments, based upon evidence, the violent ideology, the violent extremism of this un-Islamic state can be exposed effectively, based upon evidence that will stand the test of time. And this is a very important aspect to focus upon. But also we have seen in many other conflicts throughout the world, and I have had the honor of witnessing it, those individuals that have been raped, for example, that have been tortured, that have been treated as chattels or worse than chattels because one looks after one's property, that have been subjected to cruel tyranny of different types of slavery, in the courtroom, that power dynamic changes, that the survivor holds the whip hand and can confront the accuser based upon evidence. And that can be a very important step in terms of allowing the communities, the witness, but also the community, moving forward by way of justice. But it's also important not to shirk certain issues. On the video, I mentioned that we must be quite determined to remove the fiction, to remove the lie, to expose the lie that these criminal acts that may constitute genocide, crimes against humanity, or war crimes have any association with Islam or any religion at all. And by creating an evidence record, by exposing certain proclamations of Daesh, we have the opportunity also to create a firewall based upon a record, based upon proper information, based upon education, that may hopefully prevent the virus of hatred from spreading further and deeper throughout the world. Accountability is also necessary for international crimes, because if collectively we do not call it what it is, if we do not collectively acknowledge what happened by its right name, we cannot prevent it. And we have seen through the even recent years in other theaters where there's been genocide or crimes against humanity, one has to put a spotlight on certain issues. UNITAD has a mandate not only in Iraq. The Security Council also entrusted an important responsibility to the special advisor, and that was that in addition to investigating crimes in Iraq, there is an obligation upon me to promote accountability for the crimes of Daesh throughout the world. And only recently, I know His Excellency, His Eminence, the Cardinal is here from Nigeria. We see just recently attacks in Nigeria. We saw only a few days ago attacks in north and central Mali. We see in the Sahel region, in Niger, in Burkina Faso, attacks by Daesh against social cohesion. So the lesson here is one that confronts us very starkly in the face. We need to be students of history and realize how things escalate in terms of genocide. Whenever there is religious intolerance, whether it is in madrasas in Pakistan or whether it is in, Iraq before, or whether it's in the Sahel region, whenever people seek to defy the worth of a human being by way of what is in their heart or how they pray or what they believe, that is a warning sign in which the city of Mosul should be a very stark example. It shouldn't require a city to be taken over and hundreds of thousands of people displaced and people to be killed and raped and tortured and lives shattered and economies ruined and places of worship pulverized for us to collectively act. And I think Religions for Peace has a very important role in that we must start applying zero tolerance to intolerance. I think that's a very important reality. I wish to applaud His Excellency Adama Dieng for his leadership, the religious leaders in Iraq for their leadership, for their courage, and Religions for Peace for their continued excellent work. And I am really honored and privileged to have the opportunity to speak to you all today. God bless you and thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Khan, for echoing this powerful message. As students of history, we now have an opportunity to listen and hear from the brave men of faith who have signed on to this historic declaration facilitated by yourselves. Please allow me, therefore, to call upon Sardar Arjmand Fattah Agha, the leader of the Kakai community in Iraq. Your Eminence, please, the floor is yours. No, we seem to be experiencing.
شكرا جزيلا لكم جميعا. طبعا بالبداية تحية طيبة واحترامي لجميع السيدات والسادة المشاركين بالمؤتمر من مختلف مكونات المجتمع العراقي والمجتمع الدولي والناشطين المحترمين. وأشكر السادة القائمين على عقد هذا المؤتمر، كل من مكتب الوكيل الأمين العام السيد دينغ والمستشار الخاص كريم خان للتحقيق في جرائم داعش ومنظمة أديان من أجل السلام المحترمين، والسادة القائمين على المشروع. السادة الكرام، لتعزيز بلوغ مجتمع ينعم بالسلم والعدالة ودور القادة الدينيين والمكونات. لابد أن نتطرق إلى نقاط أساسية للعمل المشترك بين المكونات لدعم الحوار البناء بينهم وترجمتها إلى قناعات لدى كل مكون، وعدم فرض الإرادة الدينية لمصلحة المكون الواحد على حساب المكونات الأخرى من قبل القادة الدينيين مهما كانت تعاليمهم، أي فصل العقيدة عن المصلحة العامة وإقناع أتباعهم بذلك ورفض التطرف وتجفيف منابعها. تعاون الحكومة طبعا مع القادة والمكونات للخروج برؤية واضحة لما عليهم ولهم من حقوق ومساعدتهم في ترسيخ معاني المواطنة لدى مجتمعاتهم التي تفتقر إلى الكثير من المقومات لجعله مجتمع آمن سلمي. وما نحن بصدده في هذا المؤتمر تحويل الأنظار إلى دور هذه المكونات كل حسب مكانته وحجمه داخل العراق، ومد جسور التعاون المشترك بينهم لمواجهة مثل تلك الجرائم في حق الإنسانية، ومحاولة إعادة توجيه كل مكون بصورة واضحة إلى تقبل الآخر في زمن ينتشر فيه الفكر التكفيري والتطرف والعنف بين المجتمعات بسبب ما مر به العراق والمنطقة من أحداث رهيبة وقصص مأساوية من الجرائم التي ارتكبت في حق مجتمعاتنا من قبل داعش والإرهاب. وأنا أود أن أوضح بعض الأحداث التي واجهناها كمكون كاكائي بين أيديكم، يعني بعض الملاحظات اللي يعني بعض الأمور اللي شاهدناها نحن في زمن داعش، إذ وقعت مناطقنا وقرانا في الموصل تحت سيطرة داعش وهدمت القرى وهجر ما يقارب أكثر من 1000 عائلة، والهجمات في مناطق كركوك وخانقين على طول خط داعش، مما أدى إلى استشهاد العديد من مجتمعنا عدا إفراغ القرى والآثار الجسيمة التي خلفتها من أمنية واجتماعية واقتصادية. ونحن بدورنا قمنا بالدعم لمجتمعنا لكي ينددوا بجرائم داعش وبث الروح الجماعية التي نحتاجها من أجل معالجة إرث جرائم داعش في العراق. في بيان الأديان حول ضحايا داعش الذي سرني أن أؤيده في مارس من هذا العام والتي كانت مشروعا لجنابكم، أعتقد أن هذه لحظة مهمة نظهر فيها وحدة جميع المجتمعات والأديان في العراق لدعم المساءلة وضمان حصول جميع الناجين على الدعم الذي يحتاجونه وتشجيعهم لكي يساعدوا فريق التحقيق يونيتاد للوصول إلى نتائج مرضية لمجتمعاتنا لتحقيق العدالة والسلم. من الواضح أن على كل مكون أن يعيد النظر في ظل الأجواء الراهنة والواقعة تحت ضغط الاستنفار الهائل من قبل الفرد، ثم حالة من الانطواء تجره جرا نحو عالم ضيق منزوي داخل حيز جهوي مصطنع. ولا شك أن ظاهرة الانطواء في الفكري تأتي انعكاسا لأفق ضيق يفتقد إلى رحابة الرؤية، يوشك فيه المناخ السائد أن يحول الفرد إلى لسان طائفي لا يرى العالم سوى من داخل آلامه ومعتقداته. والخطورة ضيق الرؤية يولد قيما عقيمة تعجز عن التعايش مع الواقع المتنوع، فينحرف منها الفكر وتتحول ويتراجع المضمون، ليس بالمعنى الوعظي الساذج بل بمعناه السامي المتعالي. وحين يرفض القيم النبيلة والهموم الجماعية والحس الإنساني المشترك، من الهين أن ينحدر الفكر نحو التطرف في مجتمع تخلى عن قضاياه المصيرية وصار يركن في معالجاتها إلى أسلوب مشوه. لذلك مع الانعزال الفكري ثم خطورة تحويل الخطاب الإعلامي إلى آلة لا تنتج سوى العنف وابتلاء المجتمع. وبناء مجتمع مسالم وآمن في العراق والعالم. ونظرا للأحداث الأخيرة من الإرهاب والتطرف، ارتأينا أن نكون مدافعين عن حقوق ضحايا داعش ومحاولة بث روح التسامح لكي تخفف من عبء ضحايا الإرهاب، ومن جهة تطبيق عقوبات بما ينص عليه القوانين في العراق من قبل الحكومة لاستتباب الأمن والاستقرار ورفع معنوياتهم بخطاب المواطنة والإنسانية. في النهاية أشكركم جميعا وأتمنى أن يكون هناك الكثير علينا جميعا أن نتبناه لمواجهة الكراهية والتطرف وكسر الحاجز النفسي الذي ابتلى به الشعب العراقي بكافة مكوناته لكي نستطيع إعادة الحياة إلى طبيعتها والعيش في مجتمع واحد سليم خالي من التطرف. واعتبره شخصيا أحد أخطر الأمور التي ابتلينا بها، أخطر من كوفيد 19 أو كورونا الحالية. التطرف أخطر منه، يواجهها العالم اليوم بكل ما أتيحت لهم من سبيل، وهذا مع خالص تحياتي واحترامي لجميع المشاركين والقائمين على المشروع، والسلام عليكم جميعا.
وعليكم السلام. Thank you very much for this important intervention.
عليكم السلام شيخ سردار.
I'd like to now call upon His Holiness Hadi Baba Sheikh, the representative of His Holiness Hadi Baba Sheikh Khurtu Haji Ismail Yazidi. Please, Your Eminence, you have the floor.
الو نعم.
Yes, اتفضل.
تسمعوني؟
أي نعم.
عفوا. في البداية أرحب بجميع الأخوة الحاضرين. مرحبا لكم وشكرا لكم وشكرا لكل من ساهم بانعقاد هذه الجلسة أو هذا المؤتمر عبر التواصل أو الإنترنت، الذي له أهمية خاصة في جوهرة التعايش السلمي في العالم بأجمعه بشكل عام، وجوهرة التعايش السلمي في العراق كشعب واحد في دولة واحدة. وكممثل الأب الروحي سماحة بابا شيخ اللي هو الأب الروحي للمكون الإيزيدي، أتشرف أن أكون ما بين جمعكم والفئة الواعية والمهمة لمستقبل شعبنا وعراقنا. فلدينا ما هو على شكل نقاط وأحب أن أركز عليه وأعطي الفرصة لبقية الحضور بعده. هناك بعض النقاط، ومنها أولا نؤكد بأن جميع الذين اختطفوا أو اختطفتهم من قبل تنظيم داعش الإرهابي من الإيزيديين هم أكثرهم أطفال أبرياء ونساء، ونؤكد بأن هؤلاء الأطفال والنساء لهم معاناة وليس لهم أي ذنب، فقط هم إيزيديين. ونبغي أن نقول أو أن يحصلوا على محبة والعطف منكم أولا، ومن المنظمات الموجودة في دائرة العالم كله. ويجب أن نعتبر ذلك بمعاناة تلك المجتمعات أو النساء الذين اختطفتهم واختطفت الأطفال من قبل داعش من غير الإيزيديين أيضا، ونطالب بإعادة ذلك أو تلك الأطفال إلى عوائلهم وإلى أسرهم القانونية مع مراعاة تأهيلهم كونهم تأثروا بأفكار إجرامية. أما النقطة الثانية بخصوص الأطفال الذين ولدوا نتيجة جرائم تنظيم الدولة أو ما بين قوسين داعش، لا سيما نقول بأن جرائم العنف ذات الطابع الجنسي أو تلك القائمة على النوع الاجتماعي يجب ينظم نسبهم قانونيا على أسس قانون أو القوانين الوطنية العراقية النافذة. معاناة الشعب الإيزيدي زادت كثيرا سنة 2003 وسقوط نظام البائد في بغداد ودخول العراق إلى نظام جديد، فلتان الأمن وفلتان القانون وظهور بعض التيارات المتطرفة والحركات الإرهابية وخاصة تنظيمي القاعدة وداعش، فزادت معاناة الشعب الإيزيدي ووقع على الشعب الإيزيدي أو على المكون الإيزيدي ظلم كبير. ومن هذا المنظور فنحن نتمنى منكم كهيئة الأمم المتحدة والفريق الدولي والمجتمع العراقي والحكومة العراقية والشعب العراقي بكافة أطيافه أن تنظروا بعين الرحمة والرأفة أكثر على الشعب الإيزيدي. فالنقطة الرابعة نقول نحن جزء من العراق ونحن عراقيون. الإيزيديون هم عراقيون، وعراقيون شعب قديم أو جزء قديم من الشعب العراقي. فنتمنى العراقيين شعبا وحكومة أن تتحد من أجل المصالحة الوطنية والمصالحة المجتمعية، وخاصة في المناطق التي كانت تحت سيطرة التنظيم أو تنظيم داعش، ولكن ضمن أسس قانونية بحتة مع مراعاة الأحكام القانونية والفرق بين المتهم أو المشارك في الأعمال الإرهابية مع داعش والقاعدة وفرز الأبرياء منهم، أن لا يخلط الأوراق الإنسان البريء مع المتهم أو المشارك في الأعمال الإرهابية، والبريء يبقى بريء. فنحن أبناء الديانة الإيزيدية نأمل من الأمم المتحدة وخاصة من مستشاري الأمين العام للأمم المتحدة السيد آداما ديانك المعني بمنع الإبادة الجماعية، والسيد كريم خان رئيس الفريق الدولي لتحقيق جرائم داعش، على إعطاء أهمية خاصة بموضوع الإبادة الجماعية والجرائم ضد الإنسانية وجرائم الحرب التي جرت بحق الشعب الإيزيدي. ونرى من الضروري عدم مساواة القضية الإيزيدية مع الحالات المتفرقة الأخرى وعدم تقليل من قيمة الكارثة التي حلت بالمكون الإيزيدي والإيزيدية مقابل مجموعة قلة من الأطفال المولودون من عصابات داعش. فهناك الكثير من المداولات في شارع إذا كانت في شارع العراقي أو شارع العالمي بأن هناك أطفال مولودون من عصابات داعش ويتهمون الإيزيدية بأن الإيزيدية لا يحوهم ولا ينضمون إلى أو يأخذون من أمهاتهم. ليس هذا صحيح، لكنه الأكثر هو القانون الدولة العراقية، وحتى في كثير من الاجتماعات والمجمعات والجمعات مع الأخوة الرجالات الدين الإسلامي من الإخوان السنة لا يقبلون لأن هذا الطفل مولود من أب مسلم ولا يجوز أن يسجل إيزيدي. فهو هذا المعاناة هو معاناة قانونية وليست معاناة مجتمعية. النقطة اللي بعدها نحن نرى في بيان الأديان فإن التحديات التي أوجدها عنف داعش تطلب منا جميعا العمل معا ومن أجل المجتمع الإيزيدي لتلقي الدعم من جميع المجتمعات الأخرى وكذلك من الأمم المتحدة من أجل معالجة إرث جرائمهم. ونحن بصفتنا القيادة الدينية للمكون الإيزيدي نرى استمرارية عمل التحقيق الدولي يونايتد بقيادة السيد كريم خان فهو مهم جدا، فنتمنى أن تبقى على الاستمرارية واستمرارية هذا الفريق قد يوصلنا إلى القمة الأكثر عاليا أو على لتحقيق أو أمنيات الشعب الإيزيدي، والحق الإيزيدي سوف يصل. من أجل العدالة لضحايا جرائم داعش من المجتمع الإيزيدي، أيضا هذا العمل مهم جدا بالنسبة للمجتمعات الأخرى في العراق، يعني أو للجماعات الأخرى في العراق كأخواننا المسيحيين والكاكيين والصابئة، وأخواننا المسلمين من الشيعة والسنة. لذا أخيرا نوجه، لا أريد أن أطيل عليكم أكثر، نوجه شكرنا وامتناننا بما يقوم به الفريق وجمعكم أنتم معا، ونتمنى العدالة تأخذ مجراها لكل الإنسانية في العالم وفي العراق بشكل خاص. وشكرا جزيلا للاستماع. شكرا لكم.
شكرا لك سيدي. Thank you very much. In the interest of time, I will now call upon His Beatitude Luis Rafael Sacco, the Patriarch of Babylon, of the Chaldeans, and head of the Chaldean Catholic Church of Iraq. Your Beatitude, the floor is yours. Excuse me, sir, you are muted. Can you kindly unmute? Thank you.
Now.
Yes.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. With gratitude, we highly appreciate the efforts of the Under Secretary General and Special Advisor on the Prevention of Genocide, Mr. Adam Ading, as well as the Special Advisor and Head of the United Nations Investigative Team to promote accountability of crimes committed by Daesh, Mr. Karim Asad Ahmed Khan. Launching initiative March 2020 aimed at engaging religious leaders and actors in Iraq in the promotion of accountability and reconciliation in Iraq. I was pleased to sign this interfaith statement and the victims of ISIL, and I look forward to the implementation of these principles, which includes ensuring that all survivors of ISIL crimes receive the support they need. What Daesh did is a genocide, whether it happens in displacing people, killing or erasing their religious or ethnic heritage. Such extremists and whoever works for ISIS should be taken to the court and punished in order to be a lesson for others. We need to have a practical plan to compensate the affected people and special training programs to integrate them into their society by preparing them psychologically, spiritually, and socially. It is unfortunate that we are in the 21st century and still seeing people excluded and killed just because they have a different religion, ethnicity, or even political agenda. It is more painful when it happens under religious cover, whereas religions call for tolerance, love, human solidarity, and harmonious coexistence. The most we need those days, as we are encountering corona pandemic threats, conflicts, and wars, is to spread genuine religious values and also to return to our brotherhood relationships in terms of humanity and ethnicity. And on this occasion, we evaluate the document on human fraternity for world peace and living together that was signed in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates on 4th of February 2019 by His Holiness Pope Francis and the Grand Imam Al-Azhar, Dr. Ahmad Al-Tayyib. I had hoped that the Pope would visit Iraq to sign the same document or something similar with the Shiite authority, Ayatollah al-Utma al-Sistani. I spoke with the Pope about that. However, we still hope that the conditions improve and the visit takes place. Once again, I thank you and your delegation for visiting us at our headquarters in spite of the risk to follow up on the endorsement of UNITAD initiative. Finally, I would like to call upon all countries, religious authorities, organizations, and institutions to join hands and work together to prevent the recurrence of such dreadful crimes. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Beatitude, for this succinct and powerful statement as well. Please allow me to now invite His Excellency Sayyid Afdal Al-Shami, Assistant Secretary General for Cultural Affairs in the Al-Hawza Al-Husayniyya, and representative of His Eminence Sheikh Abdul Mahdi Al-Karbala'i, the Sheikh of the Imam Hussein Holy Shrine in Karbala. Your Excellency, Sayyid Al-Fadl, please, the floor is yours.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أصحاب السعادة والسيادة والأساتذة الكرام، الأستاذات الكريمات، السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم في سورة آل عمران الآية 64: قل يا أهل الكتاب تعالوا إلى كلمة سواء بيننا وبينكم ألا نعبد إلا الله ولا نشرك به شيئا ولا يتخذ بعضنا بعضا أربابا من دون الله فإن تولوا فقولوا اشهدوا بأننا مسلمون. بداية أتوجه أصالة عن نفسي ونيابة عن سماحة الشيخ عبد المهدي الكربلائي معتمد المرجعية الدينية العليا في النجف الأشرف بالشكر والتقدير إلى فريق التحقيق التابع للأمم المتحدة لتعزيز المساءلة والعدالة عن الجرائم المرتكبة من جانب داعش، وبالخصوص جناب السيد كريم أسعد خان المستشار الخاص ورئيس فريق التحقيق التابع للأمم المتحدة، والسيد آدم دينغ وكيل الأمين العام للأمم المتحدة، والأستاذ الدكتور عزت كرم الأمين العام لمنظمة أديان من أجل السلام، لجهودكم المباركة في إقامة هذه الندوة والقيام بهذا الجهد الذي يساهم في صنع السلام واحترام الدماء ورعاية الضحايا الذين كانوا نتيجة لجرائم عصابات داعش الإرهابية. كما ونشكر لكم دعوتكم الكريمة لحضور هذه الندوة الطيبة. أساتذتي الكرام، احتراما للوقت الذي خصص لهذه الكلمة فلا أستطيع الاسترسال كثيرا أو الخوض في تفاصيل ما اجتمعنا لأجله، ولكن بودي أن أشير إلى نقاط محددة. أولا، من خلال ملاحظة ما ارتكبه تنظيم داعش الإرهابي من جرائم يندى لها جبين البشرية، نتأكد أنه لم يلتزم المنهج الديني الذي أراده الله تعالى لعباده. وقد جاء في بيان إعلان فتوى الدفاع الكفاية الصادر من مكتب المرجعية الدينية العليا في النجف الأشرف في يوم 13/6/2014، جاء فيها أن دفاع أبنائنا في القوات المسلحة وسائر الأجهزة الأمنية هو دفاع مقدس، ويتأكد ذلك حينما يتضح أن منهج هؤلاء الإرهابيين المعتدين هو منهج ظلامي بعيد عن روح الإسلام، يرفض التعايش مع الآخر بسلام، ويعتمد العنف وسفك الدماء وإثارة الاحتراب الطائفي وسيلة لبسط نفوذه وهيمنته على مختلف المناطق في العراق والدول الأخرى. انتهى هذا المقطع. أكمل. بل أن سلوكيات هذا التنظيم البشع كشفت أنه يؤمن بمنهج الغاية تبرر الوسيلة، وهذا منهج بعيد كل البعد عن المنهج الديني القويم. ومنهج الغاية تبرر الوسيلة هو الذي فتح أبواب الظلم والفساد وارتكاب مختلف أنواع الجرائم على وجه الأرض، سواء على مستوى الفرد أو مستوى الجماعة في السابق وما زال. فيما أن المنهج الصحيح الذي نعتقد أنه يمكن أن يكون عاصما ومساعدا على صنع السلام على الأرض فيما لو تم الالتزام به، وهو هذا المبدأ: إن الله لا يطاع من حيث يعصى. وهذا المبدأ والمنهج يؤكد على ضبط الغايات التي يجب أن تكون مشروعة وسليمة، وكذلك الوسائل الموصلة إليها والمؤدية إليها، والتي لا بد أن تكون مشروعة وسليمة كذلك. النقطة الثانية: نؤكد تعاطفنا مع جميع ضحايا جرائم عصابات داعش الإرهابية، واستعدادنا لمساعدتهم حسب الطاقات المتاحة. وأذكر هنا كلمة لسماحة آية الله العظمى السيد السيستاني دام ظله بخصوص الأخوة اليزيديين، حيث قال أن اليزيديين أمانة في أعناقنا، وله توجيه إلى المقاتلين الذين كانوا يقاتلون عصابات داعش. هذا التوجيه ينص يقول: وإياكم والتعرض لغير المسلمين أيا كان دينه ومذهبه، فإنهم في كنف المسلمين وأمانهم، فمن تعرض لحرماتهم كان خائنا غادرا، وإن الخيانة والغدر لهي أقبح الأفعال في قضاء الفطرة ودين الله سبحانه. وقد قال عز وجل في كتابه عن غير المسلمين: لا ينهاكم الله عن الذين لم يقاتلوكم في الدين ولم يخرجوكم من دياركم أن تبروهم وتقسطوا إليهم إن الله يحب المقسطين. بل لا ينبغي أن يسمح المسلم بانتهاك حرمات غير المسلمين ممن هم في رعاية المسلمين، بل عليه أن تكون له من الغيرة عليهم مثل ما يكون له على أهله. هذه هي بعض توجيهات المرجعية الدينية لسماحة السيد السيستاني للمقاتلين، وهنالك المزيد ولكن الوقت لا يتسع. النقطة الأخرى: اطلعنا على البيان المعد في هذا المؤتمر، وقد كان بودنا الإشارة إلى أهم الأسباب التي أفشلت الحملة الداعشية الإرهابية والتي ارتكبت الكثير من الجرائم، وهي فتوى المرجعية الدينية العليا في النجف الأشرف الصادر بتاريخ 13/6/2014، وكذلك دور من استجاب لها وضحى بدمائه من أجل تحقيق النصر النهائي على داعش في يوم 10/7/2017. وهذه الرغبة لا نستهدفها لذاتها، إنما نستهدفها لحفظ الحقوق ومنع المغرضين في المستقبل لاستغلال الجهلة وتزوير الحقائق، والتي قد تؤدي إلى نزاعات مستقبلية لا سامح الله. شكرا لاستماعكم، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. شكرا.
شكرا لكم سيدي. Thank you very much indeed. Now we come to the last voice of power on this particular segment of signatories to the historic interreligious statement. I would now like to ask His Excellency Sheikh Dr. Abdul Wahab Ahmed Al Taha, the representative of Dr. Ahmed Hassan Al Taha, who is the chairman of the Iraqi Sunni Jurisprudence Council. Your Excellency Sheikh Dr. Abdul Wahab, please, the floor is yours.
أهلا ومرحبا، حياكم الله. تسمعونا؟
أي نعم، تفضل حضرتك.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى جميع إخوانه من النبيين والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. فيقول الله سبحانه وتعالى: يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير. وبعد بادئ ببدء أتقدم بالشكر الجزيل إلى السيد أدام دينغ وكيل الأمين العام للأمم المتحدة، والسيد كريم خان رئيس فريق التحقيق في جرائم داعش، الذين بذلوا جهدا طيبا في الوضع العراقي والحالة العراقية التي لا يخفى سوءها على أحد. وأقول إن الاختلاف والتنوع هما سنة من سنن الله في الطبيعة وفي البشر، فما من مجتمع إنساني إلا ونلحظ فيه تعدد الأجناس والعادات والأطياف، مما يشكل تنوعا وثراء في التراكم المعرفي والإسهام الحضاري، بشرط أن يوحدها قانون عام وسلطات معترف بشرعيتها وقدرتها على إدارة بهذا التنوع ضمن هوية جامعة. بالتالي يكون هذا التنوع أداة قوة لا أداة تفتيت. وعندما تختل بعض مقومات هذا التنوع بسبب أو بآخر كضعف القانون أو غياب العدالة أو التدخل الخارجي مكون أو دين واضطهاد الآخر، كل ذلك سيولد بالضرورة انقساما تجاه مكون، انقساما وحروبا وتناحرا تجعل من الأرض ساحة لها. وقد شهد العراق نوعا من ذلك التناحر، مما فسح المجال لظهور التطرف واستغلال هذه المشكلة. وكان تنظيم داعش من أسوأ صور الإرهاب التي عرفتها الإنسانية في القرون المتأخرة من وحشية وإجرام. وبعد أن كادت فتنة الإرهاب أن تقوض الدولة وأوشكت وتدخلها في نفق مظلم لا مخرج منه، تنبه علماء المسلمين ومرجعياتهم إلى هذا الخطر. كان لنا موقف تاريخي ومفصلي كبير في جمع الكلمة ونبذ التطرف وبيان خطره. ونحن في المجمع الفقهي العراقي المرجعية الكبرى لأهل السنة والجماعة، التي كان لها دور الريادة في التصدي لهذا الفكر المتطرف المجرم من خلال الفتاوى في بيان حكمهم الشرعي وتثقيف الجمهور السني بخطرهم وإعداد الخطباء والوعاظ الواعين بحقيقة شرهم وإقامة الحملات العلمية والميدانية والتوعوية في كافة الأنشطة المجتمعية تحصينهم من فكر داعش. وقد كان لفريق التحقيق التابع للأمم المتحدة عن جرائم داعش جهد كبير ملحوظ من إحلال السلام وإنصاف المتضررين من جرائم داعش وإعادة المهجرين والتحقيق في ذلك. ولضمان عدم عودة الإرهاب بأي صورة كانت، حرصنا في المجمع الفقهي العراقي ليس فقط على تجريم أفعال داعش المتضررين من أي فئة كانت. ونحن اليوم نشهد تفلتا في السلاح، ضعفا في سيطرة الحكومة السلاح بيدها. فإنصاف المتضررين من جرائم داعش في عمليات التحرير من المهجرين والمغيبين والمختطفين قسريا. وقد كان لنا هذه الملحوظة على بيان تقدم به الفريق المختص نعم، داعش هو الإرهاب الأكبر، جماعات تحمل السلاح، جماعات تقتل وتنفذ دون رجوع إلى محكمة، وقد شهدنا ذلك والخارج عن القانون. ثم هناك جرائم لداعش وهناك جرائم ومغيرات لداعش، كذلك التحقيق فيها وإلى محاسبة المقصرين والجماعات التي تحمل السلاح خارج نطاق الدولة. وإن والحرج الذي يمر به بلدنا الحبيب، نجد من الضروري أن تسعى الحكومة إلى إقامة نظام أساسه العدل وهويته المواطنة وشعاره التنوع وحفظ الخصوصية، يسعى إلى حصر السلاح بيد الدولة والدولة فقط، لينعم الجميع تحت ظل هذا الوطن ومصالحه من المصادرة، ولا على وجوده من التهديد. نحن وجدنا ليس بفعل داعش فقط، فالمكون المسيحي فقط مثلا في بغداد لم يدخله داعش، لكن النسبة الكبيرة من المسيحيين هجروا من بغداد بفعل داعش والعصابات والميليشيات في شتى المناطق المتنوعة لكافة الأطياف. ختاما، إن بلدا مثل العراق بأشد الحاجة إلى قيادة أبوية ترعى جميع أبنائه وتجعل من المواطنة معيارا وحيدا للتعامل معهم بغض النظر عن الدين والقومية والمذهب والعرق، تضمن استقلالية القرار، حصر السلاح بيد الدولة، تجعل الولاء للعراق أولا وآخرا. ونحن المجمع الفقهي العراقي ممثلا عن سماحة والدنا الشيخ أحمد حسن الطاهر سنكون صمام أمان، داعمين لكل جهد وطني مخلص مستقل في قراره وولائه، محافظين على تنوعه وسلميته بالتعامل كل المرجعيات الدينية الإسلامية والدينية والصابئة عربا أو كردا. أقول في الختام: وفق الله الجميع لما فيه الخير، والشكر لله أولا وآخرا، وأكرر الشكر لحضراتكم أخت عز في منظمة التعايش والسلم، وللأخ أداما دينغو والسيد كريم خان رئيس فريق التحقيق التابع للأمم المتحدة على هذه الجهود التي تسعى إلى إحلال السلم، أن نرى أثرا واقعيا وأن نسهم جميعا في عراق آمن، عراق وطني مدني دون تمييز بين طبقة وأخرى ولا دين وآخر. بهذا يعيش العراق متكاملا، تجمعنا هوية الوطن وإن اختلفت الهويات الفرعية من دين وقومية ومذاهب. الشكر الجزيل لكل الأخوة المشاركين، وهذه فرصة ومناسبة أن أسلم وأبعث بالتحية للكاردينال الأب لويس ساكو الذي نفتقده كثيرا وندعوه للزيارة والتواصل. شكرا لكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
شكرا سماحة السيد.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. ألف شكر سيدنا. Ladies and gentlemen, eminences, distinguished excellencies, this brings us to the conclusion of the first segment of our conversation today, which was the one celebrating the courage, the perseverance, the wisdom of Iraq's religious leaders from all across the religious spectrum who have signed on to a historic statement that is at once decrying any form of extremism and violence, especially that which is taken or done in the name of religion. It's a historic statement which clearly, as has been articulated by each of our courageous male religious leaders, repudiates any and all form of violence and extremism, affirms the fundamental mercy and compassion of each and every faith tradition, calls for accountability, for solidarity, for collective leadership, for the rule of law, and makes a commitment by each and every one of these leaders on behalf of their communities to work together to ensure an accountable healing of the Iraqi population as a result of the atrocities committed by ISIL or Daesh. We have heard from a number of courageous religious men. We now come to the segment where we bring in the comparative perspectives from around the world. For unfortunately, extremism is not limited to any one part of the world. It is, as one of our speakers has said, it is a scourge, it is a virus far deadlier than even the COVID-19. As we look at religious extremism or extremism expressed and justified in religious terms, we need to see and learn from the comparative perspective, because our Lord, the Creator, created us all over the world. There is probably a good rationale in that we can learn from one another and reflect with one another. We have now heard from the courage of the Iraqi context. Let us now hear and see from other sectors around the world, other countries, other features, where in spite of the diversity and the difference of context, we still see extremism that takes place, sometimes couched in religion, other times justified by religion, most and always harmful to every single human being. We've heard from the men. Allow me now to invite the Religions for Peace speakers. For those of you who do not know Religions for Peace, it is a 50-year-old organization founded by religious leaders representing their religious institutions from around the world. It represents all faith traditions, including indigenous. Religions for Peace operates in 90 interreligious councils in 90 countries and 6 regional interreligious platforms. Unlike any other interreligious organization, Religions for Peace brings together the voices of the religious institutional leaders, communities, and grassroots through its unique interfaith, youth, and women's networks. Now that we have heard from our male religious leaders, allow us one more opportunity to hear from a very courageous political and faith leader from Iraq, who is also a woman. Honorable Layla Al-Khafaji, may I please invite you to say a few words in reflection on this historic statement and the courage of your compatriots.
Am I in? Hello?
Dr. Layla, please continue.
السلام عليكم. السلام عليكم دكتور عزة.
Please continue.
والسلام.
Thank you. بما أنه الأغلبية يتحدثون العربية, so allow me, Dr. Azza, Prof. Azza, to speak in Arabic, I think, because there is a problem also in the translation. So في البداية أوجه شكري وامتناني إلى فريق التحقيق برئاسة الدكتور كريم أسعد خان، وإلى المنظمة الدولية، وإلى السيد وكيل العفو. أكو مشكلة بالسماع؟
Continue.
أوكي. وإلى السيد وكيل الأمين العام للأمم المتحدة السيد دكتور آدم داينينغ لهذا الجهد الكبير، وإلى طبعا أديان من أجل السلام برئاسة البروفيسور دكتورة عزة كرم لإتاحة هذه الفرصة، خصوصا أنه الموضوع يتعلق بالإرهاب وبالخصوص ملاحقة الجرائم أو الجرائم يعني الإبادة الجماعية في العراق من قبل داعش. وهنا أود القول أنه أوجه شكري أولاً باعتباري رئيس مشارك في أديان من أجل السلام، وثانياً كامرأة مسلمة متدينة وناشطة ومدافعة عن حقوق الإنسان في بلدي العراق. ابتداء كمقدمة للحديث أود القول أنه يعني بدايات غزو داعش للعراق كانت من الموصل، واليوم بعد أن تحررت الموصل وباقي المدن العراقية التي سيطر عليها، وأعلنت هزيمة تنظيم داعش الإرهابي وانهارت دعائمه، وتحرر العراق مهد الثقافة والحضارات وملتقى الديانات ومحط الرسالات النبوية. طبعاً العراق يعتبر نموذج في معركة الأديان مع داعش أو معركة الإنسانية بشكل عام مع داعش، باعتبار البلد الوحيد الذي انهزم فيه داعش هو العراق. يعني معركة حقيقية battlefield انهزمت فيه قوى الإرهاب بعد أن راهن على أن تكون دولته المزعومة هي في أرض العراق مهد الحضارات. ولهذا هذه التجربة يجب أن يقف عندها العالم أجمع، وبالخصوص المنظمات الدولية والأمم المتحدة. أقول بدأ عدوان داعش على الموصل في 14 من حزيران عام 2014، وتمكنت عناصر التنظيم الإرهابي من إحكام سيطرتها على المدينة في 10 من نفس الشهر. وعلما أن الموصل هي أكبر وأهم المدن العراقية من حيث الموقع الاستراتيجي والتاريخي، وغنية بثرواتها الطبيعية والحضارية والثقافية، لأنها تعتبر مكان فيه أيضاً تعدد الديانات والطوائف والمكونات. وقد تزامن ذلك مع مقاومة من بعض قوات الجيش العراقي وفرار البعض الآخر والتحاق قسماً منه ومع الأسلحة والمعدات في صفوف التنظيم. وبعد سقوط المدينة بدأ توسع داعش يتصاعد، وفي فترة وجيزة سيطر التنظيم على محافظة نينوى في ظل ذهول وتخبط في الأوساط السياسية والأمنية والعسكرية في البلاد، قبل أن تأخذ المرجعية الدينية الحكيمة العليا في النجف الأشرف قرارها بضرورة التدخل وإصدار فتواها الشهيرة لإعلان التطوع، بل وجوب التطوع الكفائي وتحرير البلاد وحمايتها والحفاظ على وحدتها أمام الأخطار المحدقة بالبلاد. وهنا أود القول أن الحكومة العراقية عند تحرير داعش أعلنت على لسان شخص رئيس الوزراء حيدر العبادي حينها، الدكتور حيدر العبادي، بأن عملية تحرير نينوى في تشرين الأول أكتوبر من العام 2016، وهذا كان في خطاب رئيس الوزراء، أن ذلك تم بمباركة المرجعية الدينية ممثلة بالسيد علي السيستاني وباصطفاف الشعب خلف مرجعيته، التي أكدت أنها لكل العراقيين وليست لمذهب أو طائفة أو مكون معين. وعندما أعلنت المرجعية الدينية في العراق فتوى التطوع الكفائي أو الجهاد الكفائي ضد داعش والتكفيريين، نجد في ذلك الوقت أن العراقيون التفوا حول هذه الفتوى، وانطلقت معركة التحرير والتي استمرت لعامين من 2014 إلى 2016. وأكد العراق بكل تياراته وأحزابه وقومياته على جدوى الفتوى وحكمة المرجعية، وتطوع من تطوع بأسماء كثيرة، عنوانها الأكبر كان الحشد من الشعب وباسم الشعب، عربيا، كرديا، تركمانيا، سنيا، شيعيا، مسيحيا، أيزيديا، شبكيا، كاكائيا، يقاتل الجميع دون تباطؤ أو تخاذل، واتحدوا مع الجيش في الدفاع والتحرير. أقول ذلك لأن الحرب كانت على الإرهاب حرب وجود لا مجال فيها للتهاون والتنازل، وإنما حرب وجود لا فيها احتمال النصر أو الانهزام، وإنما لا بد من النصر. النصر كان حتميا لأنها معركة وجود. أقول بعد هذه المقدمة لدور، يعني أنا أعتبر أنه أرجع إلى أيام داعش وأيام تحرير العراق، ولكن لابد من هذه المقدمة لكي أرجع إلى الوثيقة التي هي أمامي والتي أرسلتها السيدة سارة أمس للاطلاع عليها. حقيقة لم أطلع عليها قبل ورأيت البنود التي فيها. طبعا هذه الوثيقة وثيقة مهمة، وأعتقد عرضت على القيادات الدينية كما استمعنا إلى القيادات الدينية من العراق مؤيدين لها، وهي مهمة جدا. ولكني أضيف إلى أني بعد هذه المقدمة التي أشرت إليها، حقيقة كامرأة من العراق وشهدت بنفسي كل هذه الحوادث ودور المرجعية الدينية، أقول أستغرب عدم وجود ذكر المرجعية الدينية ودورها في معركة التحرير في هذه الوثيقة، ليس لانتماء معين إلى هذا المكون أو ذاك، وإنما لتثبيت حق، سيما أن هذه الوثيقة تكون من وثائق الأمم المتحدة وستكون وثيقة تاريخية تشهد على داعش وعلى إجرامه في العراق. ونحن هنا بصدد البحث عن جرائم داعش وتوثيقها، ويعني تحميل المسؤولية لهؤلاء الذين أجرموا بحق الشعب العراقي. ولهذا أقول من الضروري جدا ذكر دور المرجعية الدينية العليا التي كان لها أكبر الأثر في هزيمة داعش. القضية الثانية في الوثيقة أيضا الفقرة الأولى تتحدث عن الإدانة. نعم، أقول الإدانة مهمة جدا والجميع أدان، وأنا هنا شاهدة على أن كل الطوائف العراقية وكل المكونات سواء كانوا مسلمين سنة وشيعة أو كانوا من المكونات الأخرى، الجميع كما ذكر الدكتور الأخ عبد الوهاب الطاهر ممثلا على المجمع الفقهي العراقي، كل العلماء بادروا وأدانوا، وهذه واحدة من المؤشرات على وحدة نسيج المجتمع العراقي رغم تنوعه، وهذه صفة جيدة. ولكن أقول الإدانة غير كافية، وهنا لابد من التعاون والتنسيق، يعني باعتبار الأمم المتحدة هي الراعية لهذه الوثيقة، لابد من التعاون والتنسيق مع مؤسسات الدولة العراقية، لأن هذه الوثيقة هي حبر على ورق ما لم يتم الالتزام بها وتطبيقها في مؤسسات الدولة العراقية. ولهذا أجد من الضروري التعاون والتنسيق مع مؤسسات الدولة العراقية من أجل اتخاذ الأكشن، أي الخطوات العملية لتثبيت هذه البنود في الاتفاقية. القضية الأخرى اللافتة بالنسبة للأكاونتابيلتي وهي تحميل المسؤولية. هنا أشير حتى يعني أختصر قليلا، هنا أشير إلى أن قسم كثير بما أنه لابد من لجان التحقيق في من أجرم وفي من يعني تعاون مع داعش وارتكب هذه الجرائم، خصوصا مثلا الجرائم الجماعية التي كانوا بالآلاف، مثلا قضية سبايكر والتي ذهب ضحيتها 1700 شاب عراقي. وهنا أنوه بين قوسين أن هؤلاء الشباب كانت مناطقهم آمنة، مناطق الوسط والجنوب، والذين هم من مقلدي السيد السيستاني الذي أفتى بالتطوع الوجوبي أو الجهاد الكفائي أو الواجب الكفائي لمقاتلة داعش من أجل حماية البلاد. هؤلاء كانت مدنهم الناصرية والعمارة والكوت وغيرها مناطق آمنة بعيدة جدا مئات الكيلومترات تبعد عن الموصل، ولكن الحس الوطني دفعهم للذهاب للدفاع عن البلاد ووحدة البلاد واستقلاليتها. نجد 1700 من هؤلاء الشباب يعني يمسك بهم عناصر داعش في مناطق التي ذهبوا إليها اللي هي مناطق صلاح الدين، ثم تم ذبحهم يعني سوري لقول الكلمة، وإنما تم ذبحهم أمام أنظار العالم كله ورميهم في الأنهار. هنا أقول تسرب الكثير من مرتكبي هذه الجرائم، هذه قصة الأكاونتابيلتي، تسرب الكثير منهم واندمج في المجتمع بطريقة أو بأخرى، ليس لأنه تأييد من قبل المجتمع، وإنما بطريقة أو بأخرى تم اندماجهم بالمجتمع، حتى أن بعض منهم دخل إلى مؤسسات الدولة. فلا بد من إيجاد آلية تساعد بها الأمم المتحدة في طريقة تتبع هؤلاء من أجل أن يتم تحميلهم المسؤولية، وإلا وجودهم وإعادة اندماجهم بالمجتمع بهذه الطريقة يكون أمر محبط جدا لعوائل الضحايا. ولأن هنالك قول يتردد كثيرا: من أمن العقاب أساء الأدب. ولا بد أيضا في ضمن الحديث في النقاط الأخيرة، يعني أكون نقطتين الأخيرة من الوثيقة والتي تتحدث عن أن الجرائم التي ارتكبها تنظيم داعش لابد من عرضها أمام محاكم قانونية، وهو بالغ الأهمية. والمسألة الأخيرة الالتزام بالسعي لتعزيز العدالة والتسامح والمصالحة والمسامحة. في هذه النقاط
دكتورة ليلى، اعذريني من فضلك على مقاطعة كلامك المهم. احنا باقي من الوقت قليل جدا، وما زال امامنا بعض الشخصيات اللي برضو لها تعلق على كلام حضرتك. So please excuse me for this interruption, but we are running out of time, and I want to make sure that our distinguished speakers have an opportunity to also comment on these important deliberations that have been shared and the efforts that have been made. From Iraq, we go to South Africa, where Honorable Ila Gandhi, who is a trustee of the Gandhi Development Trust and is a Religions for Peace co-president, would please have a few remarks to make. Honorable Ila, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellencies, eminent religious leaders, representatives of the UN agencies, and leaders of Religions for Peace. May I commend all of you for brokering peace and reconciliation in Iraq, a country which has witnessed so much of trauma. Indeed, this is a magnanimous effort and deeply in keeping with our faith. I'm going to address two issues. The one is about accountability for the violent acts, and the second is about how to prevent such acts occurring in the future. Firstly, may I say that Iraq is not alone in its suffering. Many countries of the world, not least my own country, South Africa, has also witnessed tremendous hardships, and many tears have been shed over the years of torture and oppression. But like everything else, it passed, and now we can celebrate our victory of peace over violence. We still have problems, but we are no longer suffering the kind of oppression we suffered under apartheid. South Africa suffered years of oppression, not only on racial grounds, but also on a religious belief that some people are God's chosen people and others are there to serve the chosen people. The paradox of interpretation was seen in this belief. When the one group's interpretation sanctioned oppression and another group's interpretation of the same scripture upheld liberation theology. Today, the notion of the chosen people has been discarded as being a totally unfounded interpretation. How did this transformation occur? Over the years of apartheid, there were many church leaders within the Dutch Reformed Church who began to see the injustices and the contradictions between their understanding of Christian love and compassion with the highly unjust notion of the chosen people. And they began to express their differing views. That was the beginning of the process of change from within the church. So I just want to emphasize It came from within the organization. That is very important in the future. Accountability on all sides is based on integrity and to see how we can redeem ourselves. Confession and repentance are ways in which people can redeem themselves, become accountable, and change. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which was set up for this purpose in South Africa, and thousands of people appeared before it. We had psychologists, lay counselors, and religious leaders offering help to heal from the deep wounds of getting to know the terrible atrocities that occurred as perpetrators confessed and victims related their stories. The chilling tales and the bare facts were laid in the open. Families of victims and perpetrators were shocked and pained, but at the same time, they found closure as now they knew what happened and could grieve, but also learn to forgive and continue with their lives. Through this process of healing, as well as receiving reparations, they were able to shape their lives. The perpetrators found solace in confession and repentance in the presence of the victims and their families. This model is being used in rehabilitation of ordinary prisoners, even now, and many success stories can be related from our experiences. We found that in the TRC, people melted and confessed. In one instance, a former apartheid minister, a white man, visited Reverend Frank Chikane, a black man, whom he tried to poison and proceeded to ask to wash his feet in an act of seeking forgiveness and reconciliation. This is something lasting, for there is realization of the wrong and there is repentance as well as change indicated in the gesture of stooping down to wash the feet of a person who was previously aboard and, someone that he wanted to kill. The TRC's understanding was that eliciting the truth of apartheid era violations would give rise to accountability along with reconciliation at both individual and collective levels. TRC had 3 committees, one that looked at the issues of amnesty, another that investigated human rights abuses, and the third that looked at reparations and rehabilitation issues. And these committees were assisted by an investigation unit and a research unit. So it was a highly organized committee. People can change, and that there is a possibility of creating a better world from the violence-torn, hate-filled worlds that we have lived through, is the understanding that we have lived with. We saw that faith-based organization can help to both heal and to help with the change in human beings.
Thank you very much, Honorable Gandhi. This experience of South Africa and the mechanism of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission is very, very valued by us, and thank you for sharing that comparative experience. Staying in the continent of Africa, but moving to Nigeria, His Eminence John Cardinal Onaiken, Archbishop of Abuja, the Archdiocese of Abuja, and Religions for Peace Honorary President. Please, Your Eminence, share a few reflections with us as well.
Thank you very much, Professor Azza. Do I still have 10 minutes?
Yes, and we very much value the fact that you can probably say a great deal and even less.
No, I will not go beyond 10 minutes. I'll keep my eyes on the clock. Thank you very much. I want to greet all the members of the panel and not on the panel, and thank all both the three organizations that have put together this wonderful conversation. Let's start from the last speaker, my dear senior Gandhi Ella. Her story about Africa is a clear demonstration that the issue of religious extremism, which leads to unjust violence, takes different forms depending on where you are and depending on who the main actors are. In the case of South Africa, it is the government in power that was organized on a very unjust fashion, and the ANC were like freedom fighters who were considered by government as terrorists. As we often say, today, the terrorist of today can become the president of tomorrow. So we have to keep this in mind. It helps me to bring in the Nigerian perspective in the whole discussion.
Excuse me, can we please ask our colleagues to mute if they are not speaking? Thank you. Eminence, please continue.
Yeah, so first of all, congratulate us from Iraq who have been able to not only sit together and come up with a document, but actually have worked hard to work on that document. Hope and our prayer, document will not just be a document that is beautiful, but also as a guide to proper action towards reconciliation and peace. I must say there is quite a difference in Nigeria and Iraq, not only geographically, but also from point of our history, and even from point of view of the composition of our population. Similarly, from our brothers and sisters from Iraq, they have come over longer in the state of ISIS action. They are now post-ISIS, and that's why we are talking about reconciliation and peace. And to say that in Nigeria, we're still in the middle of our terrorist activity, Boko Haram in the northeast of Nigeria. So we are into a different situation from what we have seen. We are still not even sure we have engaged the terrorists or whatever you call them. Boko Haram is that is well known. I'm not seeing what any special engagement that our government or anybody has had with them, whether they are even available for engagement. There's a lot of in common between the Boko Haram in Nigeria and in Iraq. We find that many of our the elements within the Boko Haram have always linked their activities with what was happening in not only in Iraq, but in Al-Qaeda. Many of the people who came together to form the Boko Haram insurgency have had military experience in the Middle East, either as far away as Afghanistan or then with the ISIS. And so at some point, even Boko Haram leadership claimed allegiance to the caliphate of ISIS. That shows how closely linked they are. And even today, Boko Haram elements of ISIS, that are also, it is said, alleged, they have infiltrated the ranks of the Boko Haram in Nigeria. And not only in Nigeria, but also all those terrorist organizations that are now all over the West African sub-region under different names. And this is the problem that we have now in West Africa, right on us. Then I can see that we can see a common element. When there is an environment of weak government, these kind of governments tend to find easy room to grow and maybe even operate quite freely. there is a government in Nigeria, no doubt, but we are not too sure that the government is strong enough to do what needs to be done to put an end to our own terrorist insurgency. Most Nigerians will believe that we are not doing enough. There are some burning issues needing attention. This ISIS ideology is still active, not only across West Africa, but even well down into Central and Eastern Africa. That's where we are hearing such information. And somebody already mentioned the impact of ISIS ideology in the present ongoing war in Syria and around. That means that despite the wonderful statements that our brothers and sisters in Iraq have put together, the issue of the ideology of violent religious extremism still has to be dealt with. We have to think also of interrelation between accountability and reconciliation. There's no time now to go serious into that. Sometimes they almost appear as contradicting. In other words, if you really want accountability, some people feel it is difficult to get reconciliation, especially if accountability means that people have to admit that they are wrong and do the kind of thing that Ella has said of some white people who bowed down and washed the feet of a black man saying, we are sorry for what we have done. When that happens, it is wonderful. But until it happens, what are we doing? It's the same problem between justice and forgiveness. But we also know that without forgiveness, really, in a situation of prolonged conflict, peace is not possible. There is the constant factor of abuse of Islam. And here I must be very careful not to be misunderstood as if I'm blaming Islam for all that is happening. But the fact is that I've spoken with Muslim leaders, not only in Nigeria, but out there, and we all agree that it is not enough to say this is not Islam. The fact is that they keep using the name of Islam. And we say that here in Nigeria. And even the fact that while their actions hurt everybody, as our brothers and sisters from Iraq have shown, we see occasions where they specifically target Christians, and we cannot deny that. Therefore, there is a great responsibility on the Islamic global community to find a way of reorientating all these kinds of people. Just a few more minutes, 1 or 2 minutes towards the end. As I want to talk, I have a few overall issues that we need to decide. Namely, I believe that in this year 2020, in the world in which we are now, there is need for a sincere self-examination of religion and religious people. It is not enough to say all these people are using religion. We must find out why can they use religion so easily. And that means we need to really seriously look at the way we have been presenting religion. Look even at our past history and the burden of the past history of intolerance, even of violence. We cannot unwrite the history of jihads and crusades. Of course, religious conviction is very noble, but we have to admit the abuse and misuse of religion can be terrible, as in the force we are now in, both in history and in the present moment. What it means now is that in our world of today, conversion away from religious extremism, not only when it is armed and killing people, but when it's simply a matter of extreme conviction that cannot tolerate and accommodate anybody who is different. It means that many of us will have to devise new theology to be able to accommodate that there is one God and maybe many faiths. One God and many faiths. If we can arrive at that, then we'll be able to sincerely respect and give freedom to others who do not share our faith. And we can see this come up over and over again. There are people, very good people, who cannot make this step, take this step. And basically to the sake of human life, of every human life, irrespective of faith and creed. Religion and politics are connected but distinct. The whole debate about how we can manage the two together goes on. We cannot separate completely because we are all dealing with the same human being. Every politician has some religion, most of them, and every religious person belongs to a nation. Now, this is an ongoing discussion which we are carrying on in Nigeria to how do we respect the position, and how can religion be a useful and positive impact on the way politics runs. Finally, COVID-19, in my own opinion, is a loud message from God telling us at least two things. First, God is still powerful and more powerful that in the way that the limits of human ingenuity is exposed. Secondly, that the human family is one. Our scriptures say it very well. We all derived from Adam. The whole human family is one, and we shall either survive together or we'll destroy ourselves together.
Thank you very much, Cardinal Onaiken.
That is where, sorry, I've gone 1 minute more.
Thank you
very much, Asa, for
much appreciated. Thank you, Cardinal Onaiken, for ending on that voice and note of unity and the call to be gracious and merciful towards one another. We now move from Africa to Myanmar, and I would like to call upon His Excellency Al-Hajj Ai Luwin to please give a few words just to let colleagues know. Al-Hajj Ai Luwin is the chief convener of the Islamic Center, as well as a core member of Religions for Peace in Myanmar. Al-Hajj, the floor is yours, please.
Eminent religious leaders, my respected elders, colleagues from sisters and brothers in humanity, may peace, blessing, and mercy of Almighty be upon all of you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. For selecting me to participate in this very significant and timely webinar. So allow me to quote a verse from the Holy Quran in support of the statement, the historic statement, which is groundbreaking. O you who believe, stand out firmly for justice as witness to Allah, even as among yourself or your parents or your king, and whether it be against rich or poor. For Allah can best protect both. Follow not the lusts of your hearts, lest you sever. And if you distort justice or decline to do justice, verily Allah is well acquainted with all that ye do. I would like to recount some of my experience in Myanmar context in support of this historic statement made in Iraq. But due to time constraint, inshallah, I'll be able to do that next time, I hope so. So, religion has been hijacked by evil-minded people with vested interests and hidden agenda. They use or rather abuse religion as a political tool. Since religion has a strong impact on people's mind, it is very easy to whip up the emotion. Religion is often utilized to trigger instability, and as a consequence, violent extremism and atrocity occurred. In order to prevent this, the religious leaders from different religions need to remind the followers to be aware of the teachings mentioned in the various scriptures regarding peace, love, forgiveness, tolerance, empathy, sympathy, peaceful coexistence, and other related topics. They should be equipped with the true teaching of their religion so that they could build up resistance to fight back the instigation. In another words, intrafaith activities should be enhanced as a preventive measure. The destructive elements used to target vulnerable and minority groups in society to radicalize them. Therefore, it is incumbent on the authorities, the governments, to exert their utmost best not to infringe their rights, not to malign their beliefs, not to demonize their leaders whom they cherish. If they do that, especially the younger generation will become breeding grounds for the terrorists. The best practices and means of collaboration between religious leaders and actors on accountability and prevention of violence, extremism, and atrocity crimes, and building peaceful, inclusive, and just societies are to step up the interfaith activities, not only at the top, but also make it a point to trickle down to grassroots level. Interfaith prayers and sermons are also good motivating practice for their followers. If the believers see their leaders unitedly standing against the evil forces, they will definitely follow the leader's footsteps in renouncing extreme violence. Interfaith peace education should be frequently conducted, and training of the trainers should also be introduced. This will help the community, youth, and women leaders to disseminate the peace education which they have learned to their fellow co-religionists. To promote accountability, there is a need to seek assistance from the authorities and law enforcement personnel. It is my humble opinion that religious leaders alone could not shoulder the stars. Structural violence could be prevented by religious leaders through peace education and social welfare services. However, to promote accountability and prevent violent extremism and atrocity, the role of the governments is very crucial. Without their involvement, there is very little religious leaders could do. Please correct me if I have misinterpreted accountability. Of course, the perpetrators of crime should be punished, or else there will be impunity. But how could the religious leaders take law into their own hands? Of course, the need and interest of the survivors should be taken care by track 1, track 2, and also track 1.5. There should be no victim blaming. We should also make sure that not only the physical needs of the victims, but also their mental and spiritual well-beings are also adequately addressed. There should also be measures such as counseling in order to heal the trauma. Due to COVID-19 pandemic, preventive measures are exercised simply because there are no curative drugs and vaccines for it as yet. Needless to say, by preventive measures, we all understand that there would be lockdowns, quarantines, shutdowns, avoiding crowds, social distancing, and etc. These measures do have impact on interfaith activities. However, there is a brighter side of this problem. All religions teach about meditation in seclusion. The lockdown and isolation measures open up a golden opportunity for the believers to do some soul searching with the encouragement and help of the religious leaders. The believers can reflect and get rid of the evil thoughts that could lead to extreme violence and atrocity crimes. Furthermore, because people have to stay a safe distance from one another to prevent the people-to-people transmission, people are now gathering nearer spiritually. Besides, there is an IT technology that will connect each other with only a click through online meetings, Zoom, and webinar, just like what we're doing now. Religious leaders could reach out more frequently than ever and could keep in touch.
Thank you, Al-Hajj. Thank you
I
very
have
much.
run out of time. With that, I will conclude my presentation. Thank you very much.
Very much appreciated, Al-Hajji. Thank you for the wisdom that you have shared with us here. today and for underlining the criticality of the collaboration between the governance mechanisms and the religious leaders and the rest of civil society. We appreciate that very much. You also brought up the point about youth. And it is on that note that we circle back to the Arab region, specifically to a colleague of ours from Lebanon, our distinguished Ms. Fatima Hilal, our youth member of the Interfaith Youth Committee of Religions for Peace, and somebody who can speak to the voice of the present and the future from the region as well. Ms. Fatima, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Azza, Excellencies and Eminences, respected elders and esteemed guests, dear colleagues in Religions for Peace. Assalamu alaikum. As a representative for International Youth Committee, I should be amplifying on the voices of young people regarding the statement and accountability of extremism, our perceptions, responsibilities, or the roles in the objectives aiming toward keeping a commitment toward preventing violent extremism, especially religious extremism. When I was asked to share my inputs on this topic, I thought of my position as a young person in the region torn by conflicts. I thought it should be easy to talk about religious extremism, but when the questions in hand were more specified to address accountability, it is there where I stumbled. The term itself, accountability, is familiar, but practices related to it are ambiguous to me. Not because I'm unfamiliar with it, but because I haven't witnessed it in our region or probably in my government. Considering that there are many actors involved, whether in enticing extremist rhetorics, fighting and mitigating the effects of these devastating results. So as religious leaders, as young religious leaders or active members in our faith-based communities, we are capable of exercising public, reputational, and peer accountability among our constituents. As religious leaders and members of faith-based initiatives, we are also capable of accessing networks and media to exercise rhetorical and discursive accountability on issues that affect public perceptions. I recognize this as religious soft power, a two-edged sword, kind of power that acts as institution or a technique for a form of accountability. And such soft power has influence that could primarily be resided in fueling the abuse of power on national and world politics. Religious leadership has a credibility and networks within its context that represent constituents of cultural capital, a very valued one that could be employed according to different agendas, as Professor Azza pointed to. Now, although on personal level, we are exercising peer accountability through formal and informal dialogues, the need for a higher level of participation among senior leaders of world religions, women network, youth network, and UN agencies and governmental institutions remains really very essential. We know that at the local and national level of social service delivery, the UN agencies could partner with faith-based organizations to provide the majority of world's social services to the most vulnerable world. They are main point of reference in communities like Iraq and mine in Lebanon, where people turn for advice, and they are often first on the scene during times of natural disasters. However, and a very important thing that we should point at is that how governments and religions have overlapping constituencies that affect the work of religious institutions and vice versa, especially in a confessional system like Iraq and Lebanon, whereby religious statement and political behaviors are continuously affecting each other. What is needed in this case is a watchfulness and persistent involvement of each member in the faith-based organization that could form a faith-based accountability mechanism and more cooperation from international actors to involve faith-based organizations. Now, I'm not very familiar with what the UN agency have done in terms of collaboration with faith-based organizations, but what I know from a personal experience, that there's always a barrier when it comes to collaborate or work with any institution or local actors that has a religious personality. I want to look at, well, this is where it comes for us to talk about the commitment in Iraq, which is amazing commitment. It's historic interfaith commitment. It's a milestone. It is a milestone. However, it's worth noting that recognizing the struggle and condemning the atrocities, although very important, however, like Dr. Layla Khafaji mentioned, it's not as important as taking an action. What do we mean by we say we need to recognize the need of accountability? What is the action taking for accountability? However, we want to avoid diluting our efforts in preventing violent extremism by the simple integration of the world or the concept of accountability in our statements. In order for our efforts and commitments to have transformative power, we need to look at the core structures and institutions enticing sectorial and religious bigotry. Even when an institution like the Marja'iyya produces provisions to prevent extremist and harmful behavior, that does not cover the presence of outliers, individuals who take advantage or abuse the surplus force, fa'id al-quwwa, in their institutions to commit violence. And again, I'm referencing something that we're witnessing in Lebanon recently. In this case, how institutions, I'm asking as a young person with a humble knowledge, how institutions hold their individuals accountable, how and institutions are held accountable for their members' action. Can the UN release a resolution or recommend a national monitoring committee for abusive use of religious soft power? Can the International Committee held governments that bumps money and resources to fuel religious extremism in the regions accountable? Will be there any legal measures in the future? I'm speaking this from the position of a young individual among the most vulnerable to the repercussions of extremist rhetorics in the region, not because young people are not educated enough, but because we do not have access to opportunities that allows us to fight or be resilient in the presence of a hierarchical patriarchal regimes and governments, in the presence of corrupted states. This is where it's very important to point that personal and communal initiatives are important. However, the absence of strong government, appropriate economic situation, the absence for the enforcement of law, widespread corruption cannot prevent a young boy from seeking comfort in a community of specific harmful ideological orientation. So again, I'm referring back to what have been said about this importance of citizenship, al-muwatana. My question is, how can we build on citizenship in the presence of weak state and corrupted institutions, which is the reality in most countries in the region? This is my comments on what have been said and my questions for the esteemed guests. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. You've brought this segment to a very important set of questions that have to be raised. And thank you for underlining your own commitment as a youth member of society, as a citizen, as a global citizen, and as a faith-inspired young woman, for underlying your commitment to walking this journey of healing and accountability and raising the important questions. I understand that we are well over time, but I also have a very persistent request for clarification from our good Sheikh, Dr. Abdul Wahab. Please allow me to give you the floor for a minute before I ask our distinguished Undersecretary Generals to give their concluding comments. Sheikh Abdul Wahab, please go ahead.
شكرا جزيلا. أنا حقيقة نقطة ثانية أود توضيحهما بشكل عاجل وسريع. الأولى هي ما يتعلق بما تفضلت به الأخت ليلى الخفاجي، أن الفتاوى التي صدرت من المجمع والمرجعيات السنية لم تكن مجرد تنديد أبدا، كانت فتاوى بوجوب قتال الدواعش، كانت فتاوى بتحريم عملهم، كانت فتاوى بتحريم الانضمام إليهم كونهم خوارج ليسوا من أهل السنة، كانت توعية لطلاب المدارس والخطباء والمدارس الدينية والجامعات بهذا الفكر والمنهج، كانت مساندة للقوات المحررة من أبناء العشائر والمناطق التي قاتلت داعش، هذا كله إضافة للجهد الإغاثي وغير ذلك، فلم تكن فقط فتاوى وتنديد، كما أنه لا ينبغي على العالم أكثر من التحريض إلى الحق. هذا باختصار. كذلك أود الإشارة إلى ما تحدث به الكاردينال جون، وهو أن الدواعش هم لا يمثلون الإسلام، وقال هم يمثلون نظام الجهاد. هذه أيضا مفهوم خاطئ. الدواعش لا يمثلون الجهاد، الدواعش لا يمثلون الإسلام، هم نتوء زائد بين علماؤنا وحكمهم وحقيقتهم. بالتالي لا يمكن أن نقول أن نربط بين التدين والدين. فهم الدواعش للدين هذا تدين، فلا يمكن أن نقدح بالدين والقضايا المهمة كالجهاد وغيرها. كل العلماء حتى من قاتل داعش تحت فدوى جهاد، ونحن أفتينا أن قتالهم جهاد. بالتالي هل يسمى هذا جهاد وهذا جهاد؟ هذا انتقاء. بالتالي إذا أردنا التعميم فهناك جماعات متطرفة كذلك في أفريقيا، لانتي بلاكا في أفريقيا الوسطى، جيش الرب في أوغندا، كذلك الحوادث التي حصلت في نيوزيلندا من الإرهابية، من الإرهاب والتطرف اليميني المسيحي الذي حصل، مجزرة بريسنيتشا وغيرها. هناك كثير، لا يمكن أن نعمم كل ما ظهرت جماعة نعمم على الدين عموما. وأنا تحدثت سابقا ونحن متفقون في المرجعيات الدينية في العراق، لا ينبغي أن نعمم الإجراء الخاطئ على الدين أو على المذهب. بالتالي الأديان بريئة مما يحصل، والمفاهيم الطيبة المفاهيم الخالصة لا يمكن أن تشوهها بعض الأفعال. ينبغي التفريق بين الدين الناصع الأبيض وبين التدين المغلوط والمفهوم خطأ. شكرا لك ولكل الأخوة.
Thank you very much indeed for this very critical distinction. I think all our faith leaders and leaders of institutions on this call agree on this very important point, that religion or the faith themselves stand above. The message of all faiths stand above those who practice, some of those who practice and who may err. The Creator has created tremendous glory. Human beings have a habit of using some of this in a very different way. Thank you for making that distinction, on which you all agree. I apologize for running well over time. I would now like to give some concluding comments to our distinguished leaders from the United Nations system, who, because they actually came together and worked together, have demonstrated the impact that the United Nations can have, has to have in our communities and contexts, of helping to begin the process of accountability and healing, which all of our religious leaders have spoken to. Mr. Dieng, please, the floor is yours for your concluding comment.
Okay. Thank you very much. I don't think I have much to say. I will simply reiterate my admiration for the courageous and active steps taken by the leaders and actors who spoke today. And I should say that I will be remiss not to mention that listening from our brother from Nigeria, Cardinal, and also when I see what is happening today in that region, I cannot but only hope that they will be inspired by the religious leaders and actors in Iraq are paying such an important role and making the future of Iraq they want reality, a living reality for peace. And I think definitely they have a strong potential to influence the lives and the behavior of those who follow their faith and share their belief. When they speak out to promote messages of peace, tolerance, and acceptance, their message can have a strong and wide-ranging impact. That is why, brothers and sisters in humanity, the adoption of this statement must be celebrated. And at the same time, both the words and the spirit of this agreement represent a point of departure rather than a point of arrival. I mean, its value will be demonstrated by the difference it makes day in, day out, promoting peace across all groups and communities in the country. I mean, let this be our ultimate objective, and let us spare no effort to see it materialize fully in the blessed lands of Iraq. Now, let me simply tell all of you that this will certainly be my last official appearance as Special Advisor on Prevention of Genocide. And I give you what I will say really the exclusivity of this information, that I decided to step down because when you are 70 years and plus, and after 40 years of working for the international community, I think it's time for me to really sit and reflect and see how I can, with my humble experience, continue to work with you, because I will never forget the interaction I have with each and every of you in Iraq during my various trips. You are such wonderful people. You are such people committed for peace, and you deserve to be supported. And though I'm leaving, you can be sure that Secretary General Antonio Guterres, can be sure that Karim Khan, all the actors, members of the steering committee of leaders was established by my office, will continue to work with you. You deserve it. The whole world deserves it. What happened in Iraq should have never happened. And we therefore need to build from the lessons of Iraq, from your lessons, make this world a better place, a world where no one will be excluded, a world where we will be simply what we are, human beings, living all together without any forms of discrimination. Once again, thank you very much. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to bless all of us so that we can continue this journey for peace and justice. Over to you, Azza.
Your Excellency, Mr. Dieng, thank you for announcing that you have honored all the religious leaders of Iraq and of the world and the political courage of those around the table. Thank you for announcing the honor that you have given to them, and thank you for honoring us with the opportunity to host you. Your legacy in the United Nations system is deep, wide, and very powerful. One of the very few leaders in the UN who not only agreed, but actively sought the wisdom, the collaboration, the stewardship of religious communities and religious leaders. This is a legacy that is written in history of multilateralism, and it proudly bears your name. Those of us who have worked within the UN and with the UN from the religious spaces can only underline a deep sense of gratitude and commitment for your profound wisdom. Those of us who know your intense commitment to justice and peace can only remain in awe at what you have managed to do with a small office, but an exceedingly large mandate that today more than ever is at the heart of our human existence. We thank you profoundly for your leadership, your stewardship, your wisdom. We thank you for the passion which you brought to this work. And we thank you for honoring the religious communities who are at the heart of all life. You have enabled religious leaders to come together on multiple occasions to uphold the United Nations system, united universal values and human rights, and to do so with full respect and honor to each and every single faith tradition around the world. Sir, you may depart the United Nations, but you do not depart from the hearts and minds of those of us who believe in the human values that underline our civilization. You will always be with us. We will seek you systematically, continuously, and we will seek your wisdom, for it is in many respects unparalleled. You have pulled off, together with Mr. Khan, a remarkable beginning of a journey, but it is a remarkable journey to bring together the leaders of the world's most important moral voice, to agree together, not only to condemn, but to heal. You have created a remarkable legacy for which we remain in deep humility and gratitude to you. May I now ask His Excellency, Mr. Khan, to please conclude.
Yes, Dr. Azam, with pleasure. In fact, I was taken aback and humbled that my dearest brother, Adama Dieng, announced his stepping down from this mandate in this forum. I think we're very privileged that we have been given that opportunity to hear it. I've had the privilege, before I deal with my closing remarks, I think it's appropriate to say, with your leave, Dr. Azza, I've had the privilege of knowing His Excellency Adama Dieng, his work in the International Commission of Jurists, his work setting up and making functional the tribunal in Rwanda, and of course then his role as Under Secretary General and Special Advisor to the Secretary General. Great man is a word that can be easily said. And Adama Dieng is not a great man because of his title, not because of the size of his office or the reach of that position, but because of the size of his heart and his integrity. That he is somebody I've seen that there is not a gap between what he says and what he actually believes. And he has a very sincere love of humanity. When he reaches out and physically embraces people from different religions, different communities, like in the video, playing football, a football that has gone in the gutter, and he plays to give a smile to a little boy. This is not fake. This is something very real. And we need more international servants like Adama Dieng. Dag Hammarskjöld, the great Secretary General of the United Nations, talked about self-annihilation effectively in service of humanity. And I think this is something that should resonate with all the very distinguished religious leaders that are before us, because in my own humble estimation, that's at the core of religion. That is at the core, in fact, of humanity's march and progress. It is serving others and caring for others. I think in this forum, what we've seen very clearly is that religious leaders are not separate from, but part of global leadership. Peace is too important to leave to politicians alone. Peace is the business of religious leaders as much as political leaders. It is the business of activists, civil society, individuals, men, women, all of us. It is our business that we have to feel that sense of ownership and that sense of responsibility. I think underlying the various crimes we've seen in Iraq and elsewhere, and from a religious and moral perspective as well, one ingredient perhaps, I venture to say, for peace is if we look more to our responsibilities for others more than our own rights. You know, we have our rights. Their rights have to be protected in various ways. But very often, if we care and feel the pain for our brothers and sisters, irrespective of the color of their skin or their creed or their gender or their religion or their political views, we care because they're creatures of God, that actually will bring about peace. If I may be permitted, the Holy Quran says that through love, one can make one's bitter enemy like one's closest friend. And that is really a truism, in my own estimation, that straddles the religions of the world. I get really sobered when I recall what Adama Dieng, His Excellency, stated, that in 2014, he announced to the world that there are all the ingredients present that could give rise to mass violations of human rights, crimes against humanity, and genocide. With the greatest of respect, all of us who live and breathe, particularly those who have an age and an ability to do something, we failed. Because justice cannot cure an injustice. Crimes have been committed, lives have been lost, people have been raped, children have been completely destroyed in so many different ways. What we can do now is accountability. But we cannot say we didn't know. Maybe we didn't listen. Maybe we didn't hear. Maybe we didn't care enough. But these are very different questions from saying we didn't have enough information. And the challenge really is for us to heed the lessons of Iraq, to heed the lessons of other situations, to make sure that the warning signs are heeded. Incitement to genocide does not require a genocide. It is when in a church, in a mosque, in a synagogue, in a temple, whether it is in a pulpit or the high altar or in the high street, whenever an individual incites violence, incites hatred, that seeks to exclude individuals because of, for the sake of argument, religion or any other characteristic, that is the beginning of danger, when the red lights need to be illuminated, and for states, for religious leaders, for local communities to actually take action. The ideology, the Cardinal mentioned it, Onyankan. We see the ideology fuels the criminal network of Daesh today. And one issue of accountability for me, and we saw it in Nuremberg with the Nazis, if you confront, don't run away, and expose the ideology, that can also help not just the people of Iraq who are yearning for justice, but it can also, as I said in my opening remarks, create a firewall, or to use the language of viruses, it can create some kind of inoculation that will give greater resistance to other impoverished, vulnerable communities from falling for the big lie that that conduct, that creed has anything to do with godliness, never mind the religion of Islam. I think we have a foundation. The title of the discussion, of course, is Building on an Historic Agreement. How do we build? I think reconciliation requires justice. People need to see that their hurt, their heartbreak, their anguish, and their attempts by others to humiliate them are taken seriously before they are moved into a position where they're able to forgive and come together. So whilst justice takes many forms, and I take the point of Fatim Halal, of course it has aspects of economic justice, social justice, political justice, but definitely there can't be justice without legal justice as well, without that indispensable pillar that is essential to move forward. In terms of the very brave, courageous, and enlightened faith leaders that have currently signed this interfaith statement, and really I thank all of the 5 religious leaders that signed the faith statement, and also the representatives that spoke today, I would urge that this cannot become a piece of paper that is kept in the archives of the United Nations, gathering dust. It has to be taken off the page and life breathed into it by you, by us, by your congregations and your flocks. And we do that by recalling constantly the fact that justice is their right, and encouraging them, particularly where there are historic reasons, not just religious, also cultural, also a whole variety of others, in which there is stigma. Encourage those that are most vulnerable, that feel bruised, to come forward to UNITAD to give their stories. Realize that this is a difficult period, and that accountability and actually exposing lies is essential. There was a reference to Surah Al-Nisa, and I will end with that if I may, in which all Muslims are enjoined to focus on justice. Stand firm, in fact, is the word. Stand firm in justice, and give evidence, even if it is against your own parents, even if it is against your own children, give the truth. And I think if we coalesce around the common ground of truth, which must be one of the important parts that all religions are based, we have a chance to move forward and build what the religious leaders of Iraq have done, which is the historic interfaith statement. So thank you so much, Dr. Azam Kazam, Religions for Peace, and all individuals for this very wonderful opportunity. And also His Excellency Adama Dieng for your leadership over many decades. I'm humbled to know you, and also I join Dr. Azam and others in saluting your work for the United Nations and for humanity at large. So thank you to all. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum to all. Excellencies, eminences, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the conclusion of this. I would like to take the opportunity to very quickly and by no means sufficiently thank the two United Nations offices, UNITAD and UN Office for Prevention of Genocide, for their collaboration in making this possible. I name particularly Jonathan Ager, Simona Cruciani, Mario Bullo, and my colleagues from Religions for Peace, Emma Jackson, as well as Sarah Bentham. Thank you very much for this opportunity to be together. Thank you for remembering, as leaders of the UN system, that if religion is being invoked or involved, justly or unjustly, then you need to work with the religious leaders to resolve the very same situation we hold. And thank you to the religious leaders for acknowledging that when their religion, rightly or wrongly, is dragged into the middle of pain, it is up to them to remove the pain from that faith, sphere of faith, by working with governments, with the rule of law, with civil society, and with all to ensure that there is no connection whatsoever between the words of peace and the hands and acts of war. Thank you to all for the tolerance, for the mercy, for the courage that you have demonstrated. Apologies for running late, but thank you for staying with us and bearing with us. In peace, ma salama. Bye-bye.
God bless.
مع السلامة. إلى اللقاء.